The Rising of the Shield Hero is not a revenge fantasy. It's a series of hope, shining in individuals despite the darkness of the world around them. It's in the name, after all. This isn't a descent into madness or revenge, as the series might imply from its previews or first episode. It's about Naofumi, through the light shining around him, adding to his flame, rising to become the Shield Hero. And not only that, but raising everyone up around with him, that glimmering beacon against the darkness. It's my favorite type of story, one that focuses on hope and its positive changes in people who've only just lost their way. This is why the controversy of misogyny rings so hollow with me, and so many others immediately. Jumping to snap conclusions about a show with complicated character progression and growth by claiming false rape allegations and the reaction of the main character make this anime somehow against women is incredibly mean-spirited and horrendously incorrect. It's sadly been the culture of social media that perpetuates this act of instantly judging a book by its cover, or a series by its first episode, without all the information. But that's why I was so hardened by people dispelling this idea. There is good in this series, so much hope, and an idea of overthrowing oppression of exactly what this controversy represents. Willful misinformation and instant judgment of someone without knowing all the facts. Something I think most of us learned not to do in grade school. That's why it was so right that so many people banded together to stand up against this controversy and work together to correct it, which is unfortunately the opposite of what happened in the anime, at least at first. But moving forward despite all these troubles is still what Naofumi is all about, a lesson imparted and clearly known already by the audience, reinforcing the idea of hope and goodness in the majority of people, as long as they continue to evolve, and in Raphtalia's case, sometimes literally. It simply takes a guiding light to draw these souls together, taking refuge behind a shield to move forward, instead of wielding a sword, a spear, or a bow to cut through everything indiscriminately. That's why Naofumi's reaction to the wave was to rescue and protect the villagers first, while the other heroes went to just go kill the boss, a neat microcosm of the entire story. But all things start small, and Naofumi's first act as a legitimate shield hero is to rescue and protect the slave he procured after being betrayed by literally everyone in the city. Except the blacksmith. There are a lot of ramifications with slavery that many people take issues with, and that's how it should be. If this is something bad, you should definitely not like it. Slavery isn't defensible, and it's one of Naofumi's many flaws that he decided to use it at all. But it's also something that was necessary for him to do, because otherwise the entire world would have perished, or at least the village in that first wave would have. In this particular case, the ends do justify the means, especially in a world such a far cry from our own, where our hero is out of his element. The fact that Raphtalia doesn't see Naofumi as a bad guy for purchasing her may have a lot to do with what people see as grooming, or treating a young person nicely to someday marry and or have sex with. But as we've come to find out, Naofumi feels nothing but a familial love for Raphtalia, despite the other's very clear romantic feelings coming through to us. However, Naofumi's feelings are incredibly important in keeping this creep factor down. Naofumi sees the girls in his so-called harem as daughters, rather than potential love interests, or as I like to call it, the datum. It still doesn't excuse or legitimize slavery, and it shouldn't be seen as an excuse or support of that institution by the author either, as the author has made clear several times that it was necessary in this particular case. In fact, Raphtalia would have died without the treatment that Naofumi provided, and not only did he only use the slave's curse to help her grow through the tasks necessary to survive in this unfortunately wave-ridden world, he also disabled it and allowed her to choose in a moment that steeled Raphtalia's resolve in the face of the PTSD she had from her parents' death. But it was still her choice. That crystallization of intent to help nurture and bloom the potential in people through their own choices, rather than being a decision forced upon them by Naofumi, is what makes the difference in how well I take the whole slavery situation, despicable practice notwithstanding. And it's a thought I hope you viewers entertain as well. I love this show, and the manga before it, because of how Naofumi treats the people around him, and how that helps them become their best selves. This is proven time and time again throughout the series, and the villagers' desire to help the shield hero in the first wave to protect their town is a direct example of this in the show already, even putting aside Raphtalia. But no one can really put aside our heroine, a character who grows in tandem with Naofumi, becoming mature through experiences, both mentally as a result of their life, and physically through the special growth demi-humans undergo. This is a character who not only helps Naofumi, but complements him in his deficiencies, and helps him grow to be a better person at the same time. Her desires are simple and straightforward, as befits a child in mind if not body, but with Naofumi's aid and her own resolve, she becomes a fine warrior in her own right. She becomes an equal instead of a supporting character to Naofumi, which is by design on the author's part and a feature I find incredibly compelling about the series, especially since most anime don't exactly have the most respect for their female main characters. Though her romantic feelings toward our hero are sometimes unfortunately and overwhelmingly strong, they do settle down into more manageable levels later on, as Naofumi makes his intent toward her as a daughter very, very clear. This doesn't preclude these two getting together later on in the series, as I can only imagine will happen, but as far as I've read into the light novel and the manga, it hasn't happened yet. Personally, I would prefer if their relationship maintained itself in the current way, but there won't be anything romantic in the anime at least. And of course, right when I start putting the finishing touches in this video, they do change it. It's come to my attention that the last half of this last episode was actually part of the light novel's bonus chapter in light novel 2. It's very unfortunate that they decided to change this. Speaking of changing things up, Pharaoh the Philolial injects an element of chaos into our stalwart warriors and jaded heroes' lives, a welcome sense of change in everyone's dynamic. Whereas Raphtalia grows quickly and swiftly to become a stabilizing force for Naofumi, Pharaoh is meant to mirror the wilder and darker side of Shieldbro's persona, with a certain event upcoming soon which solidifies this. While this idea might seem incongruous with Pharaoh's angelic human form, it's actually quite a sly commentary on the innocence of children that turns to tantrum, and definitively wrong actions at the drop of the hat without understanding the consequences. Which is why she had to be given her slave seal despite being kind of, humanish. She is a wild animal no matter what she looks like. Luckily, Pharaoh is adorable, and finds her sense of self, simple as it is, very quickly. She wants to pull her cart, as all Philolials do, and she wants to help protect her master. Oh, and also eat every food in sight. She is a fiercely independent spirit, which is apt considering her attunement to the element of wind. A terror on the battlefield and the lunch table, you won't know quite how to react to some of the things Pharaoh does, unbeholden to social norms, which makes her presence often a madcap grin in reaction from me. Shield Hero is a wonderful story, with empowering female characters, some of which you'll be meeting very soon and may even have caught a few glimpses of already. Naofumi, Raphtalia, and Pharaoh will continue their rise to heroism, with a few interesting bumps along the way, and I hope this has convinced you to continue watching, or even start watching in the first place. You won't regret watching what I see as one of the top 5 best isekai anime. However you decide to spend your time, I would like to thank you for spending this much time with my video. You can find more videos like this on my channel that might suit your tastes, and you could even support me on Patreon if you enjoy them enough to see them more often. Whatever you do, thank you. And remember, enjoy the way you watch anime, because as long as you're the one having fun, that's all that really matters. I'll see you next time.